Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel XAT Turning Problems into Solutions. This is me Priyasha Das, and today in this video we'll be discussing some para summary questions. I have attached the practice PDF in the description box, and if you want to practice more with me live, then you can join my live free special classes at Unacademy where I practice verbal ability and more such questions live. You can follow the link in the description box to get notified about all the live sessions I take at Unacademy absolutely free. So do check out the link in the description box. And with this, I also want to tell you guys something about the NEET UG aspirants and the IIT JEE aspirants. I know you might not be one of them, but if any of your acquaintances are preparing for these major examinations or are in standard 8 to standard 12, then they should not miss out on this awesome learning festival made up by the Unacademy, where they are offering a 45 days plus subscription at a reduced rate of 299 only. But the best part is that if you use the links in the description box and my code Priyasha10, then you would be getting it for 20% additional off. That means just for rupees 239. So this cannot be believable, right? That's so much of it. All live classes by the top educators, 24/7 doubt solving, complete guidance for your CBSE board preparation, and exclusive mentorship for all the students for all these 45 days would be there completely just at a mere affordable price of 239 rupees. So please do not miss out on this opportunity. If any one of your acquaintances are from class 8 to class 12 or are preparing for NEET UG or IIT JEE, then please mention this to your friends and pass this link on to them so that they can utilize this and take a flavor of the world-class education provided by Unacademy just for 45 days at a mere price of 239 rupees. Please check the link in the description box for more details, and now let's get our video started.
Hello everyone, so in this video we will be learning about the para summary questions, and this is the session 1 where we'll discuss some tips and common things to be kept in mind before doing these questions, and then we'll jump on to 2 questions. The practice PDF of this has been attached in the description box, so what you can do is you can try out the questions on your own after watching the common traps and the tips to solve the summary questions, and then you can continue the video and see the approach I have taken to eliminate the options and to get the answer and check your answers with mine. So getting started with para summary. Para summary is one of the most essential parts of the verbal ability as well as the reading comprehension section. The reason being that is that summary based questions are always a part of every MBA examination, because it is either in the form of a reading comprehension question, or it is in form of a critical reasoning question, or as a separate question in the verbal ability section just called as para summary, the one right in front of you. So these are a sure shot questions, not just in the CAT examination, XAT examination, but all the other MBA examinations for sure. So that's why understanding it from the grassroots is very, very important. We cannot skip on it just the way we do some other topics. So that's why para summary needs to have its foundation real very strong. So try to understand few points which we need to keep in mind before we actually jump into a question. So the first thing which I wanted to tell you are the 2 common traps while making a question. So since I already have written it on the thumbnail of the video that whatever you're getting to know here is nothing but a mock creator's insight, and since I'm a mock creator, I have been trained in this domain to make such options which are very close to each other, which are generally the ones which are confusing for the students, and people generally fall in the trap of choosing the wrong option because either the option is half correct or it is repeating the same premise. And that's what are the 2 common traps in the para summary region. In the para summary questions, the first common trap is that the answers that are true but do not encapsulate the author's point. So basically summary here means you are warmly hugging someone with both your arms. Imagine the same thing is happening here in the case of the summary questions. In the summary sentence, entire idea of the passage needs to be encapsulated into a single sentence, and for that you have to make sure that you have actually filtered the important informations from the paragraph. There are some informations which are definitely not relevant, like the examples, like some adjectives, but the important informations which you find okay are relevant to the passage needs to be there in the summary as well. So that's why point number 1 is a very important trap, where you will see half correct answers. There can be one or more than one options given to you which will be containing half correct answers. That means half the idea of what author wanted to mention, and since the first part looks correct to us, so we generally fall in the trap of selecting that as the answer, but that really doesn't say it's the answer, because the entire idea is not captured. And similarly, the second type of trap is where we repeat the premise of the argument. So para summary needs to be understood in such a way that if you guys know about plagiarism, that is repeating the content from any other source, then you should be understanding that how do we avoid plagiarism. If we try to keep the idea same and avoid plagiarism at the same time, we try to rephrase the sentences. Rephrasing the sentence means depicting the same idea with different set of words or in a different voice, like active to passive or passive to active, with a different set of words. Like I like to eat strawberry ice cream over chocolate ice cream is the first sentence, but to avoid plagiarism and depict the same idea of this sentence, I can go in a different way, that when compared between strawberry and chocolate, I would prefer going by strawberry ice cream. So the idea is same, but the words are different, the construction of the sentence is different, and that is called as rephrasing. So rephrasing can be my answer, this can be my answer if something is rephrased from the sentence or the paragraph. That can be my summary, but possibly repeating the same premise, that is the same set of words, would not be considered as the common like the answer or the summary. Here when I am saying this, please do not confuse it with one or two words. Of course, one and two keywords will surely be repeated, but I am talking about picking up a completely entire sentence and using it out over here. That will not be considered as the summary answer. So these are the two major traps. Please keep it in mind while solving the questions. And then comes a set of solving summary question tips. The first is the first being reading the question. Quite obvious that you have to read the question thoroughly, and then you have to find out what is relevant to the passage and what are the keywords in the passage. So when I'm talking about finding out the relevant answers or the keywords in the passage, I'm talking about filtering the data. So you have to filter it in such a proper way that you just are left with the major idea of the passage. And what can you ignore in this process? You can ignore the adjectives in the process and the examples in the process. This is something which is not relevant and not important, so you can ignore this and filter out the important information. And once you filter out the important information, then you are supposed to paraphrase the keywords or rephrase the keywords. Then your answer would be something which would be having those keywords but would be arranged in a different construction. So let's start with the first question. I hope that you guys have checked the practice PDF and did all these questions on your own, and now it's time for me to reveal the procedure of doing these questions and the answers as well. So the sentence starts with, hail is at once the cruelest weapon in the nature's armory and the most incalculable. That means we are talking about hail here and considering it to be the cruelest weapon and at the same time incalculable. That means we cannot calculate it. What are its effects? It can destroy one farmer's prospects of a harvest in a matter of seconds, and it can leave his neighbors unimpaired. It can slay a flock of sheep. It has killed children before now in one field while the sun continues to shine in the next. To the harnessed meteorologist, its behavior is even more Machiavellian than that of an ice storm. So we are comparing it with an ice storm, alright? Difficult as it undoubtedly is for him to forecast the onset of an ice storm, he knows pretty well what its course and duration will be, and it has just started. That about all he can do with a hailstorm is to measure the size of the stones. So there's a comparison. The meteorologist can guess or can forecast the onset of an I storm. Please understand this. This will help us to eliminate the options. So here the meteorologist is able to forecast the ice storm, but the only thing he can forecast about the hailstorm is to measure the size of the stones, and they have habit of melting as soon as it gets his hand on him, and he is not even too sure anymore about the way in which the hail forms. So that means the meteorologists are also not sure about the formation of the hail, reason of formation. And until he knows this, of course, he isn't likely to stumble upon any very satisfactory prognostic rules. That means until and unless we know about the formation procedure of hail forms, we cannot come up to a very satisfactory prognostic rules. So depending upon it, now we will be figuring out our summary. So we will try to work on our skills of option elimination. We'll try to see which option really doesn't suits us and would eliminate that. So reading the first sentence: the duration of the hailstorm, the meteorologist's worst nightmare, and the nature's cruelest weapon, which arbitrarily destroys the crop and the animals, can be predicted. Oh, come on, that's exactly opposite of what we have been talking about in the paragraph. Seems to be absolutely wrong. We'll move to the second sentence. Destroying crops and killing sheep, hail is the nature's cruelest weapon and a meteorologist's nightmare. Until knowledge of its formation is known, predicting the onset or the behavior of the hail is elusive. Absolutely comprising all the data and the details we have been talking about so far. So we'll keep it on hold and just check option C and D and then come back to it. Option C says, hail can destroy crops and ships and a meteorological worst nightmare as we only have the knowledge how the hail is formed. See, they try to take the advantage of the readers reading the paragraph quickly. So in case you are reading the paragraph quickly and you are not able to distinguish between what's been mentioned about the ice storm and the hail, you might fall into the trap of considering that we know how the hail is formed. Or if you read it very quickly, you might not figure out that here we are saying that we are even not sure about how the hail is formed. So that's why this becomes a wrong answer, because it's just the opposite. This sentence is saying that we know how hail is formed, but we do not. Then coming to the last one, what we know about the hail comes from physically handling the hail. That's correct. But as they melt really fast, the meteorologist cannot make accurate predictions about its imminent arrival. Absolutely correct. So now we have two options on hold, option B and option D. But what was the first important trap I discussed with you? The first important trap was that only half the information is given and the complete idea of the passage is not concluded or not present in the summary sentence. In such a situation, what will happen? In such a situation, we will go with the one which has all the data. Here we have data about many points, about hail destroying things, about it being the nature's cruelest weapon, meteorologist's nightmare, and not being formed. That's the reason we are still being, not knowing much about hail. That comprises all the details. But when I talk about option D, it only talks about not knowing certain things, and that's why imminent arrival is not, like, we are not able to predict that. So that is only half the information, and so not my correct answer. My correct answer for the first question is option B. Now quickly going to the second one. I hope you understood the first question properly. For the second question, the word entertainment and the word activity may seem to have different meanings for us. So again, just have a capture over the word different meanings. But there are reams of social data to show that we have adopted more forms of passive entertainment, the most ubiquitous being television. Our level of activity has steadily dropped. So once we have started adopting these passive forms of entertainment, our level of working or activity has gone down. That's the idea till these two lines. This, however, is not the only fallout of our addiction to TV. This expectation to be passively entertained has spilled into other areas of the society as well. How we perceive our world may have changed from an environment we interact with to a parade that we simply sit back and watch go by. This, however, we have become a society of attention deficit watchers that have high expectations of being passively entertained no matter where we are. So that's about being how the more we are getting towards passive entertainment, the lesser we are doing any physical activity on ourselves. So the best thing we are going to summarize here is, let's check the options. Option A says man has become inactive and is simply content to live his life watching others perform actions rather than doing something himself. Well, that is something of an inference. Now you have to draw a very fine line between inference and summary. Summary needs to have all the ideas which are exactly present in the passage, not something going out of the passage. What we are stating here in sentence A is what the author might have thought about while writing this paragraph. This sentence is nowhere mentioned in the paragraph, but at the same time is something which is related to the paragraph. So that is an inference. And in a summary based questions, we do not jump into inferences. So option A is the wrong answer for us. This is something new. That's why I mentioned this question, that if you get an option which is an inference, you're not going to take this as the answer. The second option says entertainment and activity are interlinked. Correct. The first part was that only. As man enjoys entertainment which is passive, the example of TV, one of which is television, he also lacks concentration and has become quite content to be watcher than doer. Yes, they are moving more towards the passive entertainment. So this seems to be a correct summary for me, but I'll keep it on hold till I read the third and the fourth sentence. Now moving to the third one. Entertainment and activity thought to be essentially the same are actually completely distinct. Never ever did anyone thought that they are same. The very first line, if you just check the very first line, you would realize that they have started with mentioning that they may seem to have different meanings for us. So that means we are nowhere going to think that they are essentially same. So reading this part only, I'm gonna eliminate option C for myself. Option D. With his choice for complete passivity, man has resorted to being a TV watcher than a sportsman, and this has been due to our inability to focus on an activity for a longer duration. Now just hear me out carefully. The paragraph doesn't state that the man has resorted to complete passivity. The paragraph is just talking about we being very much attracted towards the passive form of entertainment. Okay, so there is a wide gap between the two, and so we will go back to our option which we kept at hold, that is option B, which is the correct answer for us. So that was all for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, then please like this video, share it with more and more people, and if you are new to this channel, then please do subscribe to the channel as well. I come live at Unacademy as well, so if you want to practice more live with me, then you can surely join my free live classes at Unacademy, the link of which will be there in the description box. So with this, winding off the video, thank you so much for watching it, and please take care.